Hello, welcome to the 18th day of October 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video exercise that I do each and every morning at around 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles. Also, I use this time to go over some things in my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. Well, hello, welcome to new subscribers to the channel. It's good to have you here. I'm a 61-year-old American, retired, and living my life here in Japan with my wife, Yumiko. I make two reliable videos nearly every day. This video I do make every day. It's very rare that I miss this one. And then I also have a video series called Retiring in Japan, which chronicles the life and experience of being retired in Japan. Um, it's not so much I guess it is the day-to-day, right? Yeah. This video, though, is a personal journal, which you're welcome to watch and observe and leave comments on. I will read and respond to comments when I'm done. I do talk about sensitive subjects like death, so be forewarned. All right, let's get started. Yesterday was a Friday. My sister-in-law, Yoko, took the day off, and together, Yoko and Yumiko and I drove after we had taken care of our dog's needs in the morning. We drove to the adjacent prefecture, which is prefectures are just states, so to speak, called Yamanashi, which is they possess the other half of Mount Fuji. So there's the Shizuoka side of Mount Fuji and the Yamanashi side of Mount Fuji. And forever they will compete about who has the better view of Mount Fuji. If you ask my wife, and she's quite vocal about it, there's no contest. Anyway, so we hold Yamanashi Ken is prefecture in a bit of disdain. So we deigned, though, to go there because it's all tongue-in-cheek good humor, of course. We went there to visit a very remote, small community that has one of the old highways goes through, and there's an old district there that's been revitalized with some boutiques and coffee shops and stuff. And every year they have a really outstanding antique fair, and we went to that fair yesterday. And it was really well worth it. It was so worth it, and that we were going to go back again today. However, that's not the reason that I relate this. This isn't a blow-by-blow recount of yesterday. What I'm interested in is sharing is the challenges and opportunities that I met in the process of prosecuting yesterday's antique hunting adventure. And I have one that really stands out. I keep notes every day. My note from yesterday is highway wrong turns. Note that's plural, more than one. So here's what happened. Now, there's a little bit of a lead up. I'm a pretty sober and control person. I don't mean sober in the terms of the drinking sense. I mean in control. But one thing that kind of gets me sometimes is you know, wholesale mistakes that cost a lot that interrupt things. It's not so much anymore, but it used to be a kind of a weakness of mine. You know, when things don't go according to plan in a big way. So here in Japan, when you're crossing large distances, you'll take a highway system, and the systems are unlike United States West Coast, where it's mostly free to drive on highways and freeways. Here in Japan, big highways like that are always a toll affair, so you're going to have to pay your way to cross it. It's worthwhile. It's a very beautiful infrastructure, and it's not too expensive, and it's worth the price. But when you make a mistake, like choose the wrong way, that's costly in terms of both time, distance, and money, because you have to typically drive a pretty long way before you can get off the toll road, and exiting, pay your toll, find your way back on, and it's not like as easy as the United States where you just swing back into the next lane and go up again. It's usually pretty complicated in Japan. And then enter the toll road again and rack up another charge. So it's costly in terms of time and money. And about maybe 2 months ago, we were traveling just like that, and we had made a wrong turn. We got on the wrong. You come to like a juncture in the highway, and you kind of quickly have to decide. And I can't read the map, the Japanese part. They have English translations, but it doesn't usually help me very much. And I and I do have navigation, and sometimes the navigation tells me which way to go, but sometimes it's not very clear. And we make mistakes. And about 2 months ago, we made one such mistake, which turned out to be very costly in terms of time, put us right in the middle of, which is pretty rare, heavy duty traffic coming back the other way. So if we hadn't made the mistake, we wouldn't have imposed ourselves in that traffic, get back to where we were, and we wouldn't have had all the extra expense. Um, I was surprised at the time by how, well, I wasn't surprised when I emoted visually, so my emotions got the best of me. I was immediately frustrated when I realized we had made the wrong turn, and we were on track for a 5 kilometer ride before we could get off and fix it. The emotions come up, they rise. That's how I describe them. For me, my emotions seem to rise from my stomach, and if they get to here around my mouth, they come out. Now, they don't always have to come out in terms of words. They can come out in terms of visual cues. Like my wife is very adept at picking up the slightest visual cue that I'm upset. I'm usually very good at this age, 61 now, of seeing it coming, controlling it, holding it down, and not letting it come through, not letting it bubble up. It's also particularly important in Japan, where we people here have two faces, the public face and the private face. And the public face is, you're not supposed to wear that stuff on your face. It's even more faux pas than anywhere else, where, at least in the West, we kind of see it as emotional reactions. You're just being human, but still, it's better if you can be more mature and control yourself. 2 months ago, when this happened, I didn't completely control myself. It got out. I think I did a kind of a gasp and maybe clinched the steering wheel before I caught myself and pushed it back down. But I was at that time kind of surprised at how quickly it happened. But I vowed also that I would never put myself into that situation again. We would do what we can to make sure that we don't get that situation again. And then yesterday, we did it twice in exactly the same way, which wound up costing us not only time in recovering our to get off the wrong expressway, pay the toll, money too, um, and then get back on, but also the inconvenience of finding ourselves stuck in awful traffic on the highway that we would not have had to deal with had we not made the mistake. So it was a triple whammy of time, money, and gross inconvenience and frustration of being stuck in traffic when we really wanted to be somewhere. In fact, the reason that we're going to go back today is probably largely because of the wasted time we wasted maybe, in these errors. But that's not why I'm sharing all of this. That's beside the point. The point is, how did I handle it? And I handled it pretty well. In both cases, the emotions got to the top and came out a little bit. I was visible in both my expression and my words in my frustration. My wife picked up on it. Yoko picked up on it. But here's the thing, and sometimes you just can't catch it. It's like when you stub your toe, you're going to say, gosh, just, it comes out before you can really say anything. But the good news, I utilized temperance, the principles from my book, the principle of temperance to control my emotions, the principle of life will not go well, to remember that these things happen, and the principle of maturity and in hindsight, to reflect how quickly I was able to regain my composure in spite of all of that. So I handled it really well. I'm going to give myself a 4-star on this one for both of them. Not 5-star, because 5-star would have been catching the emotion before it ever spewed forth. But I want to add a little more. I think that part of the reason that it came out, got me so quick, and had a harder time. It's been a tough week, with the situation and the other thing. It's been a tough week. So I think my guard was a little bit weakened. Also, I was thinking hard yesterday while this was all happening, remembering what it was like for me before retirement, when I was in the thick of stress all the time, and how that, I think the fact of being in constant stress, unabiding stress, unabating stress is what I mean to say, has a way of weakening our defense, right? So that was interesting to note, and to have this rather stressful week behind me, uh, and then to have these events occur and realize and see how quickly they got to the surface, rather than how maybe I would have had them in better control had I not had such a stressful week. Okay, so that's the last 24 hours. As for my creed, it consists of the following 8 objectives: to be always ready to die, to make good and effective use of time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions relative to my values, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities, and to do one thing at a time and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully, and finally, to maintain my balance, which is a consequence of the achievement of the prior 7 objectives. As for my principle for today, I'm going to read The Horror Show, which builds naturally from the principle preceding it: life will not go well, which suggests that life's going to be hard. And the horror show suggests that sometimes it's so hard, life goes so hard as to be a living horror. The Horror Show. The recognized consequence of a universe unfolding beyond reach of our care or ministrations. Nothing we can do about it. And the awful evidence that there is no overarching management or oversight beyond the descriptive record we make and share with one another of how things operate, and the necessity which physics, chemistry, and time does seemingly demand of us all. At last, we stand with our hands at our sides and our mouths agape, and our minds at wits' end, as the unfolding tale. That's so hard to read. It's still kind of dark still. Oh, there you go. As the unfolding tale of what is moves on without notice or care of what we want or think is good or right or simply humane. It just moves forward, leaving everyone behind. We will all be left behind in the wake of horror. To various levels and degrees, we each experience some horror in our lives. All right, the next 24 hours. Well, it's Saturday, and we had a good time at the antique fair yesterday. Like I said, we got messed up on our directions, and so got there late, and we had to leave early because it was such a long trip from here. So we're going to go back today to finish what we started yesterday. So that's the plan, and I'm going to be very careful at those intersections on the highway. All right, 3 comments. Hi, Tim. Weather check for the UK at 9:37 p.m. is 11.4 C and 81% humidity. It's currently wow, it's cold. It's like 18 or 15 degrees and 85% humidity. Tim continues that it's another calm, dull, cloudy day. Sounds like October, huh? Hello, Evelyn. Evelyn says hi to myself and Tim. Tim says, I find sometimes there can be a difference in emotional control depending if the situation is a human or non human occurrence. Sometimes it's harder to keep that emotion in check where it involves a human, if that makes sense. It totally does. It seems like maybe because there's some agency involved that I'm speculating out loud. Maybe it's because we sense that if there's a human involved, there's some agency that could have prevented the mistake, right? But if it's an act of God, a force majeure, then it's beyond us. It's interesting to consider that. That's an interesting observation, Tim. And in fact, yesterday's events actually were human error, right? We were the pilots. Hello, Tim says hi to Evelyn. Evelyn says, unfortunately, there is another horror show situation happening in the U.S. with my family. Probably going to adjust my plans soon to help out. I'm sorry to hear that, Evelyn. Seems like it's the season for maybe there's seasons for this stuff, right? I mean, I've got it going on in my life too, as you know. It seems seemingly, and I stand ready to adjust my plans in a heavy duty way. Wishing you all the best with that, Evelyn. Sarah says, I love antique shopping in Japan. I'm very envious. I wish I could come along for the road trip. It's a pretty amazing fair that we went to yesterday. The biggest we've ever seen in a most interesting place, and good value, although I didn't buy very much, and interesting items. I did buy one thing. I'll show you. Hold on. The other things are downstairs, but I I bought this little wooden thingy. I thought it kind of looked like Daruma-san, the figure of Daruma, which is right here. I've got a Daruma right here. I can do the comparison. Tell me if you think it doesn't look like it. Now that I see it, more and more I'm convinced it might in fact be the case. Okay, Ho- hopefully you can hear me. This is Daruma-san, the Japanese luck god. He's got his hat and his bale of rice down below. Don't you think that kind of has a kind of a resemblance? Yeah. It's made of wood, and but it's a object for container cleaning things. See how it has a lid? It pops off, and then it has these holes here. And I know what it is now. I think it's a tobacco ire, a tobacco container. The holes here, the cords would have come up. Back in the day when Japanese people used kisudu smoking pipes, they would put the pipes in a little pipe container and then connect it to this. This would have carried their tobacco, and they could have scooped the tobacco out into the pipe, smoked it, and then hung it on their kimono or put it in their sleeve. So I believe it's a tobacco ire, tobacco holder, although it may have been designed to kind of resemble Daruma-san, don't you think? I got this yesterday. The woman that sold it to me was so happy. She was new to the antique business and had bought this, had found this, and had listed it, not really knowing if anybody would really be interested. And I love it. So she was really delighted that I not only bought it, but how much I was gushing over it. I'm going to add this to the collection up there. I might actually use it. It seems to be pretty clean, maybe to store my tea. So there's that. Uh, Hello, Robert. Good to see you. Robert says hello to myself, Tim, and Evelyn. Tim says hi to Robert. Robert says hi to Sarah. Evelyn says hi to Sarah and Robert. Robert says currently it's 57 degrees and 41% humidity with an air quality of 20 in Napanee, Ontario, Canada. Sounds pretty chilly. Sounds pretty nice though. Claude, hey Claude, welcome. And welcome back to Japan. Sipping toasted green tea at Yamanasa Village in Okazaki. Reading Wandering Ghost before Japanese homework and trip to the library. Have a great weekend to all in Kurtlandia. Thank you, Claude. I hope you have a great day. We're up early, huh? Sarah says hi to Tim, Robert, and Evelyn. Robert says hello to Claude. Sarah says it does look like Daruma, doesn't it? And for tobacco, yeah, Sarah, I think that's what it's for. Claude says, or Evelyn says hi to Claude. I'm enjoying your Facebook posts. Nice. Tim says, my Oni Devil bell arrived from the States the other day. It came with a wooden ringing stick that I've not seen before. Oh, I haven't seen a ringing stick. That sounds interesting. All right, well, I have a couple of things to attend to before we head off to Yamanashi Prefecture again. I'm going to be very careful driving, but more importantly than being very careful driving, I'm going to be well armed for the contingency of life not going well. It's going to take a little more effort to be well armed for the horror show. I was thinking about Stilbo the Stoic yesterday, though. You know, emerging from the ruins of the burned city, his wife and children dead. You know, and the conqueror asking what he had lost, and Stilbo telling the conqueror, "I have all my goods with me." That echoed through my mind several times yesterday when I was managing the upset of making the wrong turn, and managing the thoughts that sometimes come when thinking about the challenges that I'm facing at this season of life, namely back home. Wishing you all the best, and Evelyn, a special nod and well wishes to you with your endeavor with what's happening back home. Claude, I hope you have a great day in Japan, and a good day to everybody. Tim says, have a good day. Going to an event is a good way to take the mind off things. That's a good point. Thanks. Everybody, take care. Be safe, but not too safe.